Yo, what's up, everybody? Monday, March 3rd, episode 11. This episode is brought to you by Your Bronx Dentist. Come meet Dr. Rebbe and his team at two convenient locations in the Throgs Neck and Norwood sections of the Bronx. Schedule your next appointment online today at yourbronxdentist.com. So, episode 11 here. Yankees beat the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight, 12-3. We saw our first look at Max Fried in a Yankee uniform, and whew, that pitch mix. I mean, everyone talks about the curveball. I mean, the changeup to me, the changeup got me going. It really did. And I'll say it again. He really reminds me of reminiscent of Mike Messina, even though he's a lefty. Just that style, everything about him, just the way the pitch style just reminds me of reminiscent, like we said, of Mike Messina, the Hall of Famer. And Max Fried looked really good tonight. Those 2 runs he gave up, they don't mean nothing, but the 2 runs, that he gave up really, came after he was out of the game. Um, but the curveball was definitely snapping. Yanks, the Yankees now, we're at 24 days from opening day here, and March 3rd, as we said. And you see the background's a little different here. It's little Angie girl's 4th birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to Angelina. Um, we were talking today. We were watching a little bit of the game, and she was saying how Volpe and Giancarlo were her favorites, and just it gets you in that spirit of baseball being upon us. And in the end, it's a kids game. It's all about the kids. And when you have kids of your own, if you're lucky enough to have kids of your own one day, if you don't have kids already, and you're a Yankee fan, you're obviously a Yankee fan, you're watching and listening to me. But the game is just a little different. It brings, you start to look at the game differently, and it brings a little bit of the joy back to the ball game. And you see how the kids love it now. Their attention span, at 4 years old, not as much as like me or you, but to get an inning and a half out of them, that's enough for me. But happy birthday to Angelina, and you know, it's uh it's just very nice, sitting down watching the ball game and having the kids having, any bit of interest in it. It's just a nice thing to do. It's just the way I grew up, and that's what the Yankees are all about, keeping traditions now. Unfortunately, with baseball comes injuries, and Yankees got a lot of them. The big news today was Luis Heel diagnosed with the high grade right lat strain. According to Booney, who was before the game, they had their little press presser in the dugout, and Booney was talking about the high grade lat strain. So um, Luis Heel, no throw for 6 weeks at least. Realistically, and Clark Schmidt had a similar injury a few years back, and it took him a little while longer to come back from the shoulder injury. But realistically, if all goes well, we're looking probably June second, I would say second, third week of June ish, if everything goes well. I'm no doctor, but just from projections, and even New York Post Greg Joyce put something out talking about in June. But if all goes well, that's probably what we're looking at. It's just the rookie of the year, Luis Heel, getting hurt. You know how we feel about Luis, the king of the heel, and just like go back to those 17 games he had with the one earned run or less. And it's kind of ironic that the spring after he got his shot, because of injury to Garrett Cole, that's how Luis Heel got his shot, the rotation last year. This year he gets bitten, with the injury bug, and the elephant in the room, the Marcus Stroman rumors, if there are any. But Stroh's going to be the fifth starter. Slotson's fifth starter. Whether you want it to be, Will Warren. We saw Will Warren a little bit last year. He definitely wasn't ready last year when he was thrown into the fire, and he got bashed around the last those couple starts we saw him last year. But so far in spring training, we've seen him. He's been lights out. Now I take spring training, with a grain of salt. Um, there's certain things you want to look at, position battles, roster spots, but performance based stuff, not so much. But you want to see, like, certain pitches the guys are throwing. Like today, we saw Max Fried was just dealing. You're just going to see that he's going to be fun. Throughout his Yankee career, it's, ball really snaps out of his hand. But Luis Heel, back with the injuries, we got a lot of them to go through. Luis Heel, with the lat strain, at least 6 weeks he's not going to be throwing. DJ LeMayu got hurt on Saturday during his second at bat. Strained one of his calves. His calf today. He said he's pretty sore, and Booney was saying it's very concerning. Now it's unfortunately it's the same old song with DJ LeMayu now. Um, it's starting to talking about tradition. The tradition is unfortunately becoming injuries every year, and which way it's going to be, how he's going to miss some time. Simplifies the third base position battle a little bit with Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza. Booney was talking about it during the game today when he did his little interview with Ryan Rocco and Jack Curry during the ball game, and Booney kind of hinted a little bit that the Yankees are still looking outside the organization, that it could be Oswaldo. Oswaldo's in the lead right now. In the who's going to be the starting third baseman for opening day. Oswald Peraza, he said, will be in the mix, and as we now know, Oswald Peraza has no more options. So Yankees, if he doesn't make the club out of spring training, he goes to waivers, and they'll most definitely probably lose him to someone. He was a highly touted prospect at one time. It's just we'd like to see Oswald Peraza's bat just click a little bit more. It's just lot from what we're seeing. Like we said with spring training, from what we're seeing, it's just a lot of ground balls. But the way he can pick it with the glove, you saw that double play today. But Volpe, and the way the shift was, he came over from third. He can really pick it, and we've seen Peraza in the past, and in 22, the playoffs, he played in place of Isaiah kind of Falefa when he was struggling. But that's like we say, that's in the past. But it was between Peraza and Oswaldo, Waldo, between both of them. Um, they say right now, but Booney was hinting of a platoon, or could they bring someone from an external option? But I don't think it's going to be Nolan Arenado. It's probably someone like we don't even know of who's available. Few names of guys that we kind of like. Willie Castro, Luis Rengifo. But when really thinking of it, two fine players. I come to think of it now. A lot of people are definitely going to disagree with me, but how much better are those two options than Oswaldo Cabrera and even Oswald Peraza? But specifically Oswaldo Cabrera. If you listen to me, I want to see Oswaldo, get a shot, and get those at bats, get consistent playing time, and see what he can do. And even with a platoon, with him and Peraza, you would like to see Peraza's bat come around a little more. We were, getting into it that you know before veered off a little bit with Oswaldo, but Oswald Peraza, he just, from what I see, it's the not that it's not hard contact. It's a lot of ground balls that he seems like he's getting on top of the ball a lot. Not like George Lombard Jr., the 19-year-old kid. I mean, wild what what we see him doing consecutive games at George Steinbrenner Field, hitting bombs to left center field. But Oswald Peraza was a highly touted prospect at one time. Like we said, we saw him in the playoffs. Last year he had injury. The glove is not going to be the problem. It's going to be the bat, what we're going to get. And put Jazz back at second. Goldschmidt fielding is definitely going to be at large for the Yankees, but back with the injuries, it was, so Luis Heel, we're going to miss him for a while. LeMayu undergoing an MRI on the calf. We'll see exactly what the damage is there, but Booney said it's very concerning. Giancarlo Stanton with his elbow tendonitis in both elbows. He's set to supposedly to join the team at some point in the coming week, and he had those PRP injections in his arm, but they said already he's gonna miss opening day. He's not going to be here for opening day, but not going to be with the club and ready to go for opening day. And little upsetting, concerning. With Big G, like we talked about, he never missed an opening day. So with all his injury can that he's had throughout the year, his injury plagued seasons that he's had, always consistently there for opening day. But this one he will not be. So where the Yankees going to go with that, we'll see. One interesting thing that I do want to point out is without Giancarlo in the lineup, if you slot in, let's say Ben Rice, the Yankees would have six out of the nine spots in the lineup homegrown players, which is pretty remarkable because the Yankees usually not a team that sticks with their homegrown guys. But if that's without Giancarlo in the lineup. But we definitely want Giancarlo in the lineup. We'll see how long, there's no timetable as of right now. When he joins the team, they said he'll be working out. Baseball activities not up, not no baseball activities yet, but we'll just see, when when the day comes, when this week, which day of the week it would be when he reports back to the back to the back to spring training. We'll see what's going on really, because no one. It's a very vague situation. Dealing with is it personal reasons? Is it the elbows? We'll find out. Highly touted prospect Chase Hampton underwent Tommy John surgery, so he won't be back throwing until the summer of next season. He was one of those guys, part of the pitching core. The Yankees have coming up with Will Warren, Cam Schlittler, and Chase Hampton. They're all three of those guys are in that class of the three of the big top prospects. And Cam Schlittler was optioned to minor league camp earlier today before the game. I saw that update come through from the PR department's Twitter X account, and Schlittler will probably go between Double A and Triple A this year, and we saw him like we said, take the spring training stats, for what they are at a grain, with a grain of salt. But pretty impressive stuff from the tall youngster. Um, you know, as we talked about, DJ LeMayu. I'm just running through my notes here. DJ LeMayu, will have that MRI. We'll get the update. Scott Efros had the hamstring injury, a grade 2 hamstring strain. He'll be gone. Gone on the IL for some time. Scott Efros, the relief pitcher with that funky delivery, just since the Yankees got him, just been an injury riddled Yankee career so far. JT Brubaker, who is working his way back, he fractured 3 ribs, getting out of the way of the comebacker. So he'll be on the shelf for a little while. A lot of pitches. The trend is pitching. That's why you can never have enough pitching. Everyone was so quick to trade, wanting to trade Marcus Stroman away. You need at least 8 or 9 guys going into the season. And I remember back in '96, they even talked about it on the game tonight. Remind me about it. In '96, the Yankees had 7 starting pitches, and Joe Torre said it'll work its way, and it did. It worked its way out. And, look what happened in '96. They went on to win. And, but, pitching, it always tends to work its way out. But depth is very important. But all these injuries, you need guys next man up. Who's going to step up? Trent Grisham, He came to camp with a hamstring injury. He played tonight. Everson Pereira, the young outfielder who had the UCL injury last year, the elbow injury, he's been playing. Hasn't been in the field yet, but he's been DHing. He had that opposite field home run the other day. Could he be in the mix for some DH at bats? Booney did mention his name when he was talking to Ryan Rocco and Jack Curry on the broadcast, and we've got the Luis Heel news, which none of us wanted to hear, about our rookie of the year, but sort of simplifies the rotation for what it is right now. Whether it will be Marcus Stroman, it will most likely be Marcus Stroman, and Stroh is known for having good first halves. It's just, I'm sure the Yankees are going to keep in mind that that 140 inning mark on his vesting option. That would add the extra year onto his contract, that extra 18 million. That's probably part of the reason why when, if and when they were trying to trade him allegedly, um, if they were trying to trade him, that's probably part of the reason why he's still here because of that contract. But let's be real now. I mean, Stroh's going to step up. It's not like Game 5 of the season. Well, if he even pitches Game 5 of the season, the Yankees aren't even going to need a 5-man rotation in April just because of off days. But that's besides the point. We're gonna root for Marcus Stroman regardless. It's not like we're not gonna root for Stroman when he's pitching just because you don't like him. Of course you're gonna root for Marcus Stroman. He's a member of the Yankees. But it comes a time like we were talking about when to go back to what I was talking about when you're watching it with your kids, how Angie was telling me how she loves Anthony Volpe, Giancarlo are her favorites now. When I was younger, I had favorites too. You have favorite ball players now, but it's very different. When you grow up, you're kind of just looking at. I could care less who's on the team. Name wise, of player wise, you just want the guys to do good. It's not that you don't care who's on the team, but it's not really, it's not of importance of actually who is on the team. You're rooting for the laundry, not even though the Yankees don't wear names on the back, you're rooting for the laundry, not the name on the back. But fine players the Yankees have now, and one name I did miss, Jorbit Vivas of the injured players. He had a nagging shoulder. He'll when I wrote the notes the other day, and he was getting close to playing again. He'll be playing tomorrow. We'll be seeing him tomorrow along with Devin Williams. So that's something to watch tomorrow's game. So Wooney said Vivas will get it mixed into the game at some point, and Devin Williams will be making his Yankee debut. So we'll get to see that airbender, that screwball looking changeup. But just to finish my point on what I was saying with when you get older, it's a little different. There's players you don't like as much, but all in all, you're rooting for the team as a whole. It doesn't really matter. There's no favorites, but you're rooting for the team. So hopefully Stroh can do his thing. We were talking about he's known for having good first halves, and tends to struggle in the second half. Part of the reason why he was left off the postseason roster, and when he was on the roster, he didn't come in for the LCS and the World Series. He was on the roster, but he didn't pitch any innings. But he's going to have to, at some point this season, the bell is going to ring for Stroh to come in, and he's going to have to do his thing. And as we've talked about, he's a big league pitcher. The defense. I agree with what Brian Cashman said a little while back. I agree with I think the improved defense is really going to help Marcus Stroman out. Yeah, it's not gonna make him that much better. But if he has a good year, he has a good year. It's gonna make the whole team better. It's gonna have to, because that's part of Max Fried's game. One of those guys that he induces soft contact, run prevention. You're gonna need a defense behind the pitches. Whether it doesn't matter. Max Free, Garrett Cole, you know they the way the team was built last year, it's not sustainable, and we saw that when it came down, to when it came down to it. And you can't make mistakes like that. You got to play baseball, fundamentally, and got to get the job done. It's a complex game, but it's really simple when you really think of it. And sometimes making it too complicated complicates it. But Yankees just got to play the game right. And you even seen yesterday, and they talk about like a guy like Pablo Reyes, the non-roster invite. He spent some time with the Red Sox and the Mets. He's the utility man, and he got thrown out, and looking, as John Sterling said, looking like he was running the bases like they were drunk. And yeah, it's spring training, but still, it's still kind of things that are the same problems. If you watch the ball game tonight, if you did, you didn't. There was two misplays that stuck out to me. There was that little in between hop to Volpe when Jack Sawinski was up, and hit kind of hard. It was an in between hop. He didn't make the play, and he'd also dropped the pop up. And even it was a real hard ground ball hit the Jazz Chisholm. He didn't make the play, and spring training, this is when you work those things out. But these are the small little things. I know it's spring training, but we watch a lot of the games. I'm watching a lot of the games, and even though it's spring training, you see it, and you just get a little twitch. Like, even though it's Jazz, you're like, oh my god, it's like it's the same thing. It's like what. It's almost when you start thinking the position's cursed. It's just hopefully these are things that hopefully things get worked out. And to put some positive light on Jason Dominguez, he made a really nice play yesterday, and even he was clapping for himself, making a little light of it. And it's like we said, it's spring training. Low stadiums, where I say low stadiums, there's no big upper deck, so the sun's blaring a little bit different. Easy to lose the ball in the sun, as they say. And Boone, as even Booney was saying, if you can play left field in the Grapefruit League, you can play left field anywhere. We saw Cody Bellinger in left field tonight. Dominguez wasn't in the lineup, but Belly's gonna. They say he's gonna bounce all over. I'm real interested to see with the construction, of the lineup, that they're going to carry three catches. Ben Rice has been really mashing the ball, and you can tell, it's evident. They really really like him, and even a few of the beat writers have been talking in their stuff of how much they love Ben Rice, and you can see that pedigree. You kind of look at him, you see him, he has that personality, but when you look at him, the way he plays, he fits the part. He looks like a Yankee. Just that number 93. Maybe that got to change. Maybe even when the season starts, I know Alex Jackson's wearing it now. Maybe he flip flops it. It's just weird. I like to see. I know there's not many numbers, but let's change the some of those high numbers a little bit, especially for a guy like Ben Rice. He should have a low number, like a number of a masher, because that kid, you can see he's hitting the ball really hard, and his past to some of the stadiums have Statcast, and his past. I think his last two hits that he had, they said, were his hardest hit balls in his career. He gained 10 pounds of muscle. He looks really really jacked coming into camp. We've seen him behind home plate, and it seems like he calls a really good game. Same thing with JC Escara, and that's another player that it seems very evident that the organization thinks very highly of. And Escara is one of those guys, as we say, easy to root for. The 30-year-old hasn't broken into the big leagues yet. He's been in the minors for some time. I always tend to root for those guys, especially when they're on our team. Root for the guys that played independent ball. I even I worked in independent ball out of college, and just a different type of respect for those players when you talk about for love of the game. And so, you know, a couple on our team. We have Fernando Cruz, played for the New Jersey Jackals. That was over in Jersey in Montclair, and JC Escara, played. I want to say it was the Kansas City Monarchs. I was one of the. There's all different leagues in independent baseball, and it's a guy like JC Escara, very very easy to root for. There was a write up in the New York Post of how he used to be an Uber driver, and 30 years old, hasn't broken big league, especially out of spring, out of camp. Hasn't been called up to the major leagues yet, and we've seen the few spring training games here, you can see that offensive prowess is definitely there. Catching behind the plate looks like he really really can play the part. Um, it looks pretty good. The Dominican League, he won the batting title. So let's see. I mean, backup catcher, the general manager Brian Cashman said it doesn't matter that that he's a left-hander. They have no problem carrying two left-handed bats. And speaking of left-handers, Dom Smith doing his thing in spring training. He had the four RBIs today. He's been hitting. Wearing number 22, Soto's number, so they gave that up real quick. But Dom Smith is no slouch, and as we talked about, the Yankees love those guys with that big prospect pedigree. Believe it or not, Dom Smith was drafted before Aaron Judge in that 2013 draft. Um, Dom Smith was, I want to say, I think the Mets had the number 11th pick or number 13 pick that year without looking it up. But Dom Smith was drafted before Aaron Judge in that draft, and first round pick. Um, he was on the Mets for a little while. Didn't really pan out to what he was supposed to be there, but still in the league. And hey, like we said, we talked about the Yankees loving those guys with the big prospect pedigree. And you know what? If he's hitting, why not? I mean, I love the Yankees adding these lefty bats. There's been years where we've been crying for lefty bats because the whole lineup's right-handed. Give me the lefties. The Yankees have always had left-handed bats, and that's usually what tends to make the Yankees do damage. So lefty righty. To be honest, it shouldn't even really matter. And the game is different now. It's not like you can change pitches every batter like the old days. Lefty righty. They got to face each other. At least the pitcher has to face at least three batters, and it's a good little segue just to mention. I haven't mentioned it yet. The ABS strike. If you've seen some of the games, not all the games have it. The automated balls and strikes. Booney don't like it. I mean, from a fan perspective, it is pretty cool. It seems like it's going somewhat quick when they do only the pitcher and the catcher, the pitcher, catcher, and batter. They tap their head and they challenge, the balls and strikes, and it kind of looks like when you're watching tennis, where when they challenge, when the ball hits the line, it's all digital, pretty fast, and from a fan perspective. Uh, it's cool. We get to see and get the call and done right. But you saw some of the players. Max Scherzer said we shouldn't get judged. Can we not get judged by robots? And I can see the players not liking it, but from a fan perspective, it's pretty cool. But I can see the reason some of the players and the guys down on the field don't like it. And it does take away from the ball game with that human element of the having the umpire. But I say get the call right, but I do like the human element of having an umpire there. We don't want it to be an automated robotic strike zone. Maybe some of you guys do, but it's a little bit different style of baseball. But it wouldn't be implemented this season. They're testing it out. They used it in the minor leagues last year. It'd be the 20 the 20 27 season, which if we even even get there with the impending lockout. But when we get there, we'll worry about it. That's the news. That it's pretty much imminent that there will be a lockout after next season. But we didn't even get through this season yet. But they're already talking about that with the CBA. But when we get there, we'll worry about that. Still a lot more. Definitely a lot of things for the Yankees to worry about. But there really has been some bright spots from what we've been seeing. George Lombard, the young kid, 19 years old, really doing his thing. And as we talk about guys that look the part, he definitely looks the part. It's just how young is too young to call them up. Um, he hasn't really you know touched anywhere, getting seasons in the minor leagues yet. He was with Hudson Valley. He'll probably start off he should start off with Double A Somerset. We'll see. Now Spencer Jones, on the other hand, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to see him a little bit more, down, as the camp goes on. With depending on the severity of John Carlos' injury, you never know. I mean, it would be kind of crazy that if he broke camp. I see it highly unlikely of him coming up with the ball club, but you never know. Strange things happen. But the example I'm going to give is Anthony Volpe. Really didn't have much time in AAA. It was like 2 or 3 weeks. So could we see Spencer Jones at an accelerated rate this year? Maybe. Only time will tell. If it was up to me, I would be the crazy one. If from what I'm seeing, and if you're telling me we're not going to have Giancarlo Stanton for quite some time, hope knock on wood. Hopefully that's not the case. But if I would be crazy enough, why not? Why not? I mean, just all these years you see guys. I mean, even Dominguez being 22, I would have had him up long before that. They did. I'm not for leaving the guys in the minors. If they're ready for AAA, they're ready for the big leagues. That's my opinion. AAA is not really what what it used to be. It's usually guys you know and who aren't at that level yet where they're in the big leagues with like an Oswald Peraza, as we see, that quadruple A type player. Now, not all of them. There's a lot of really good players down in Triple A, but that it's not the majors. They're not there. It's not the same competition, but it's pretty much it's a lot of the guys who don't really get it done at the big league level, and then they cycle through. But if a guy's ready for AAA, he's ready for the big leagues. But when you talk about young prospects like George Lombard, it's great, the seasoning. But I mean, there's a chance we can see him at some point, maybe next year. But who knows? Time will tell. But with Spencer Jones, with the roster construction, with the injuries the way they are now, if you're gonna go with an Oswaldo or Oswald Peraza at third, you know, they're glove guys, and Oswaldo, plays multiple position, very, very well. They're glove first guys. So the offense is going to have to be generated somewhere. Um, I don't want to, talk about not having Juan Soto in the lineup, but with the additions of what we have, you're not going to replace him. But the offense, whether who's in the lineup, doesn't matter who. The offense has to come from anywhere. You can put the best defensive team, the best run preventing pitches. If you can't score runs, you're not going to win ball games. So how is the runs going to be scored? A prospect, we're losing, a bat like Giancarlo Stanton for a long period of time. And from everything we see and read, they're not bringing in, there's no more from what it looks like right now, whether they make a trade today, like they did with Jose Trevino the day before the season when we got him a few years back. From what it looks like right now, it doesn't look like any new bats are coming in. So this is the team, and with the questionable depth the way it is now, you're just seeing with the injuries already, and you're just seeing the names cross off the list. And it's a lot of guys, a lot of homegrown guys, but it's a lot of guys that have to step up now. They're not bringing in, like we said, it doesn't look like they're bringing anybody in. So what I'm trying to say is call the kids up, like have a kid like Spencer Jones up right after the season if you need be, because it's easier to send down and pivot and move other ways early in the season. But let's see what happens. I mean, we're seeing with the rotation now. You don't want to say guys dropping like flies, but there's a lot of injuries going on, and roster the roster layout is working itself out, and hopefully they can stay as healthy as possible. Bring the key core guys up, and just let the kids play. I mean, we've been seeing some of these youngsters really opening some eyes, and George Lombard definitely one of them. Real exciting young player. His dad, being the bench coach with the Tigers, and a player himself, George Lombard Senior. But real, really eye opening seeing a young kid like that, 19 years old, with that pop and that swing. And I'm really liking the confidence I'm seeing. And just from Spencer Jones alone, I'm not even talking about on the field. You see the video that MLB put up with him and Ben Rice, and you're just seeing them, Ben Rice and him sitting there. These are kids who are minor leaguers. The minor leaguers. Ben Rice was up a little bit last year, but you can see that charisma and moxie that they both have. Call them up, let them play, because from what I see with the roster the way it is now, we need them. We need them. So let them play. And we'll leave it at that. Max Fried was really awesome to watch tonight. That two and a third innings, and it's going to be a fun season watching him. Hopefully, it's going to be a fun season. But don't want to see these injury updates full page written of them. It's not a good look. But have a good night, everyone. I'll talk to you guys. We'll see how Devin Williams looks tomorrow. But have a great night. God bless, and as always, go Yankees. I'll talk to you.